The Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, the umbrella body of professional practicing pharmacists in Nigeria, has described as disgraceful what you call the Nigerian government's decision to seek medical assistance from Madagascar in the fight against COVID-19. The object of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria's anger is COVID organics, a herbal preparation which the government of Madagascar has been promoting as a guaranteed cure for the virus. In a statement signed by its national president, Mazi Sam Ohuabunwa, the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria said it is regrettable that even in the midst of the current crisis, Nigeria continues to ignore the rich availability of men and material at home in favor of what it compares to importing coal into Newcastle, as exemplified by this move. With Nigeria's 174 universities, 20 faculties of pharmacy, and 69 federally funded research institutes, PSN says it is illogical to compare Nigeria to Madagascar, an island nation with just 6 universities, 1 faculty of pharmacy, and 9 research institutes. We will now take a look at this in greater detail by having a conversation with Mazi Sam Ohuabunwa, President, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ohuabunwa.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Well,
always pleased to see you.
Thank you very much. Well, the press release which you signed on the COVID organics from Madagascar. Now, when you look back now, will you rather assume that maybe there was some form of overreaction in that statement? Because in that statement, you said that Nigeria was spending scarce foreign exchange to import COVID organics from Madagascar. But the government has since clarified its position to say that, look, nobody has spent any scarce foreign exchange on any importation. What has happened is that the president of Madagascar has donated part of COVID organics to countries in Africa, and Nigeria's allocation is in Guinea-Bissau. All that Nigeria will do was just to pick that up, and then it will be subjected to clinical trial. What do you say to that clarification by the federal government?
Well, to be sincere, the clarification situates the matter a little bit better, but it does not change the kernel of our submission. Because if you read my statement, I said, even if we are not going to pay any money, I said so. That is still something that we're not very comfortable about, that it is Madagascar that will be giving us a solution to our problem. That's the kernel of our issue. Nigeria is big enough, endowed enough, with sufficient manpower and, I believe, expertise to produce something as good or better than what we are getting from Madagascar. I believe it is diplomatically right, or, nicety of African brotherhood. If somebody offers you something, you can take it. But that does not mean you must use it. And the essence of it is, why should we wait, for God's sake, for crying out loud, why should we wait for Madagascar to be the one that will send us help? Why can't Nigeria send help to Madagascar in this area? Because it's an area I think we have better endowments, better opportunities, better comparative and competitive advantage to make. So our cry is not just because money will be spent. We are trying to draw attention to our liturgy, our philosophy, more or less, in Nigeria, that seems to make us always dependent, always looking for solutions from outside, without challenging ourselves, without properly putting ourselves to strong efforts to solve our own problems. We are looking for people to solve our electricity problem, solve our water problem, solve our infrastructure problem. And even in the area of sophisticated medications, we get all from outside the world. My worry is, when will it be Nigeria's turn to begin to give something to the world outside liquid petroleum, which nobody is willing to buy now? That's the kernel of our discussion, of our resistance or complaint about this. I'm not saying they shouldn't take COVID organics from Madagascar if it is offered FOC. But the important thing is that there are certain gifts that shouldn't be given to you. There are certain gifts, carry with it insult. There are certain gifts people give you, it's insulting. So we think that this is one of those gifts that look like some insult, because a country our size should not be one to be receiving help in herbal medicine. We should be able to help other people, given that we have more and we have greater opportunity. That's our issue, that we need to change this cycle and be the first to produce things that can help other people and that can solve the problems of our nation and help to solve other people's problems. And that's the crux of our complaint.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Ohuabunwa. And now I'd like to get into more details with that on you, because the particular plant that's being used here in the COVID organics concoction that we have coming in is apparently available in Nigeria as well. So is there any current research that's currently going on in this regard to find solutions with this same plant that you think that it's not being supported while we are actually here supporting COVID organics? I'm saying this for many reasons. I mean, mainly because of what we're seeing on the headlines of the newspapers today, where the NAFDAC DG, Professor Adeyeye, has come out to say, and I quote from the newspapers, that they are yet to see or receive any pharmaceutical or herbal drugs for analysis of their efficacy as a prelude to their approval for treatments of the disease, which of course contradicts what we were told by the Presidential Task Force last week, that some had been put forward and had passed the preliminary requirements. So where does the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria stand on all of this?
Well, the discordance is symptomatic of our lack of coordination and the fact that we speak more than we do. Let me say that there are scientists, some of them are pharmaceutical scientists, some are medical scientists, some are biotechnology scientists. I'm sure you have heard, I'm not the only one who have heard them speak. Some have spoken on television. Some have even gone to government to talk to government. Some have written, and that they have things that can be helpful in solving this problem. And what we hear government say is, we don't stop anybody. People should go and prove that this thing can work. And our point is that in a crisis mode, it's not when you allow things to happen at the level that individuals can carry. Anybody who is associated with producing medicines like I am will know that it's a very taxing responsibility. It's a lot of work. I have produced, I want to say the company that I worked for, Nimet International Pharmaceuticals, had produced a herbal preparation used for management of sickle cell anemia. I want to tell you how many years it took us to do the clinical work with a biochemist, late Professor KK in Port Harcourt, then brought it, upgraded it pharmaceutically, then clinical trials were started many years. I can speak to you that up to now hasn't been fully concluded, and we have spent millions of naira. So the point here is that in a crisis moment as we have, if we are serious to deal with this issue as other countries seem to be, our point is that the moment somebody makes a claim, those who have made the claim, you invite them and then verify what they have done. And if they are showing promise, you can set up a panel of experts to look at what they've done. If those products are showing promise, you then support them to put them through clinical evaluation to be able to be used for the crisis. This is the point we are making, is not to wait for people. Then secondly, beyond those who have spoken, beyond those who have gone to the market to say they have this product, which may be true or not, I want to assure that some work has been done by different other scientists, published work in the journals. I also want to assure that some of the institutes set up by government has done some work in this area with their limited funding and limited budget. Now, government should coordinate all these efforts and put them together and be able to undertake some clinical evaluation done by the country, not waiting for private individuals to prove or disprove. This is not the time to wait for private individuals to prove or disprove. They may not have the funding, they may not have the motivation and what it takes to prove these things. I was thinking that the way Madagascar has done, I don't think Madagascar's issue was a personal effort. It is owned by the government of Madagascar. Our government should own a trial, own something that is developed from our local resources, put it through trial, and then if it works, then Nigerians can use it and we can export it to other countries. That is the difference that we are speaking about.
Well, Mazi, if I may play the devil's advocate, in the briefings by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, the Minister of Health and also the chairman of that task force have both been consistent in saying that they're willing to try out any suggestion by any Nigerian involved in phytomedicine, and the only thing they will not do is to give patients to people as guinea pigs for any kind of herbal mixture. And since your press release, the CBN governor has specifically said that the CBN is working out a framework to support pharmaceuticals and healthcare workers who want to come up with a solution to COVID-19, particularly in terms of vaccines, and that they will provide single-digit interest rate on whatever loans or grants that is given for pharmaceuticals. What's your reaction to this? Do you think this is a good intervention, or you think it's also too much talk, little action?
For what the Minister of Health is speaking about, I like to challenge him to know what actual, real action he has taken. I'm aware that on his table there are proposals from different places which has not been attempted. Every proposal we've submitted to or suggestions we've made to the ministry or somewhere, we're told go to, they will refer to NCDC, and that's the end of the news. We're saying expand testing. There are very many kits that are used in America, used elsewhere. Pass them through validation and choose which one will work. NCDC and Ministry of Health says, no, we shall be using only ESR. We shall be using only molecular biology. And we're doing touch and go testing, test 5, test 2. And we want this disease to stay with us till the end of the year. Whereas we'll have ramped up testing. In America, America has given permission even to pharmacies to do some testing so as to ramp up testing. So Nigeria is very conservative in this area. So I don't think that any practical action has been taken by government to promote local valuation of products right now. I'm aware that the Ministry of Health, Department of Traditional Medicine, Alternative Medicine, has sent something to the ministry for it to be sent to NAFDAC for listing. Listing is a different thing. That does not prove it. Listing is just to say, we list this product because it is not toxic. But the evaluation, the clinical evaluation to see whether it works has not been done. Nobody has started. So there are proposals on the minister's table. You should check his table. You see proposals even from his own agencies wanting to do some work. Secondly, I think that this CBN that we have is perhaps one that will go down in history as the most sensitive and proactive CBN that we have. You know, they are speaking the language that shows that they understand what we're saying. When we are crying that we don't have the capacity to make medicines in the country, they decided to devote some money, knowing that we can no longer depend on China, on India for everything, because they will close their borders. And then we have no medicines for hypertension or diabetes and other serious illnesses, including cancer. Then while that is going on, they've had our discussion on research and development. And they have decided to support research, support development through grants and perhaps long-tenured financing. That's the language we want to hear. That is the seriousness we're looking for. Who will fund research? Research is it takes long time, it's expensive. It's actually not what you borrow money from the banks, because it can fail. If it fails, where will you generate the cash flow to pay back? Research comes from budget or from multilateral agencies as grants. That is what happens. That's called research grant, not research loan. You can give loan to a pharmaceutical company that has already some products in the market. So if this research fails, it can use the cash flow from other products to pay back. So CBN is in the right course. They can give grants to scientists and to institutions, And there may be long tenure loan to companies that are willing to do this there. So what CBN is doing is the right thing, is what we are crying for. We need a dedicated support, a decision by this country and say, we want to solve our problems. This ministry, this agency of government, this research institute, this university, take this problem. We'll give you 1 or 2 years. Solve it. How much money do you need? When these same scientists go out of this country, they are the ones that are recognized in the United States and America. We hear about them. But when they come to this country, they are emasculated. There's no motivation, and they just don't happen. I go to these research institutes regularly by my work and by my relationship. And I'm appalled that you get to a research institute, their equipments are not working. They don't have reagents to do simple experimentation. When we are working with NIPRID from here, from NIMET, we have to buy chemicals to go to NIPRID for them to do work for which we are going to pay them. In those days, we were trying to do some work on herbal medicines. So these institutes are not well funded. It is not the fault of this government. It is what has been happening from one government after another. The institutes are broken down. The equipments are not working. There is no funding for real research, not talk of development. So we're just paying salaries. In most of these institutes, they pay salaries directly from government to give them 2 million naira as overhead, which cannot buy diesel or pay for courier service in 1 month. That is what they are doing. They may not say it because they are government officials, and I am saying it for them, so that this country can wake up and we begin to do something that befits our status as a leader in Africa and as a nation that God has endowed with so many good people and so many natural endowments. That's the position. Let this country take a decision. Many people come to the television and they read speeches written by other people. The man who reads the speech is different from the person who writes it. And after that, nothing happens. My brother, you've been there. You know how speeches are written. You've written for people who read what they don't know what they are reading. That's what we find. And at the end, we keep going round and round in a circle. Go back and read our budget speeches. They are the same thing that we've read. The same projects that have been funded. Since I started hearing about Niger Bridge, for how many years? Every day, Niger Bridge, Abacha's money, Niger Bridge, money from World Bank, Niger Bridge. Go to Enugu Onitsha Road. The road is not done after many years of talking about the road. So I am tired to see a country as big as we are continuously falling and not moving like we ought to be. We're like giants with a clay feet. So my point is, let this COVID pandemic be an opportunity for our country to take a new turn, to begin to think about how to use what we have to get what we want. I am becoming ashamed to continue to live in a third world country. I was born in this country and it was called a third world country, a developing country, less developed country. I'm asking, when shall we become a developed country? What does it take to become a developed country? Countries that were at the same level in 1960, Singapore, Malaysia, the rest of them have moved on. And we're still going around in a circle. That is what is making us unhappy, sir.
Certainly, and I mean, it's shocking to all of us as Nigerians when you look around you and you wonder why it's so hard for us to maximize our potential. It really shouldn't be rocket science. And you brought up some really valid points there. The fact that research grants are not loans. If anything, they're more like equity, because research takes time. It takes time for somebody to find something that is groundbreaking, and that is why it's good to see that support from the CBN. But I'd wanted to ask you, with the limitations that we're currently seeing to research and developments across the country right now, how do you see this affecting our fight against COVID-19 in Nigeria?
Well, I want to tell you that we can do better than we're doing. That's the point we're making. I'm in touch with scientists. I'm in touch with those who have opportunities to make something that will help us. Even yesterday, I was reading some report about the Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria trying to come out with something. There are centers of excellence. There are people of excellence. We need the coordination, a motivating coordination to invite these people, to invite these institutes, give them the money they need. You guys know that We say we've collected 27 billion or 20-something billion donated by COVID and all kinds of people. The last time we were told this money is still sitting in CBN, and we're treating it like a treasury single account, and we're watching the money. Shouldn't the money be deployed for what it is supposed to be? And I've recommended that half of it should be voted to research. Take 2 billion, give to one institute and say, I give you 6 months or 2 months or 1 month, produce this. Give this institute 2 billion, produce this. Produce a Nigerian-made ventilator, produce a Nigerian-made respirator. These things are doable. You've seen some samples brought by Naseni. They buckled up a few things and brought it that looked like a respirator. That means they have the technology, they have the ability and the science. It is the equipment that they need to do. There are such pockets of excellence from Zaria to Enugu, all the institutes that we have. Let us focus on them. Go and see the Ministry of Science and Budget, the Ministry of Science and Technology. They have, I don't know how many institutes are under them. Look at the budget they give them. It doesn't show a country that is ready to have breakthroughs in science and technology. So I am begging us that we should change our orientation. The moment you think you have an alternative, it does not give you opportunity to be creative. But if you believe that I have no alternative, close the door, lock up yourself, and say, I must solve my problem here. Nobody throw away the key. You find your way. That is the mentality in Nigeria, especially in post-COVID world, where the world is going nationalistic, where people are going to, global trade is going to be threatened. Countries are going to be focused on solving their own problems. Nobody is going to be waiting to solve Nigeria's problem. We should use this opportunity to change this paradigm, break the mold, and let us say, if we have problems, there are experts in this country in every field. All they are waiting for is to be motivated, to be funded to do so. Let this be an opportunity for us to change for good.
Well, Mazi, I have somebody sending me a reaction to what you said earlier about the research institutes. You said that they have problems of equipment, and they also have problems in terms of funding. And you say, oh, they pay salaries. But this person is saying, yes, he agrees with you, but it's not true that they are paying salaries. He says every salary has been paid unevenly to workers. Have fulfilled all righteousness, but have not been paid. Please help ask if the federal government is becoming insolvent. I mean, that's a comment. And the person who sent that is a professor. He shall remain nameless. But I would like to ask you a question, but that's just by way of reaction. Now, yesterday, Mike Ryan, the executive director in charge of emergencies at the WHO, was quoted as saying that the coronavirus pandemic may never go away, and that we may never succeed in getting a vaccine for it in the foreseeable future. And he cites the example of HIV/AIDS, saying HIV has been there for more than a decade, and nobody has been able to make any progress with the vaccine, and that coronavirus may just remain as one of those viruses that will be killing people on an annual basis. So he sounds pessimistic. Are you optimistic that scientists will be able to find a solution, either in alternative medicine or the mainstream to coronavirus?
I am very, very optimistic, my brother, that we can find a solution, even in this country. Because I have been in touch as a pharmacist, we're the first line of contact with many people who are ill. They consult us, and then we give them some advice. Then we ask them to go to their hospitals if there are things that cannot be readily resolved. People are telling us what they are doing right now. Many people who are not even showing up in the hospitals to treating COVID. And I can tell you that people have what they call their own concussions and their own remedies. So I believe that Nigeria can find solution to COVID-19. And I also believe that overall a vaccine is possible. I don't think that it's impossible because, God in his infinite mercy that allows some of these ailments to afflict us also has provided solution. The Bible says, is there no balm in Gilead? There's always a solution. It's for us to search for it, and most of it is in plants. Most of it is in around us because God in his mercy places what we use to solve our problems around us. The question is, do we see? That's what science does. Science opens our to be able to see what God has already placed in place. So with the global alliance, or what I call global focus on COVID-19, every nation, as I said, every serious nation is looking for a solution. And so the pessimism by WHO may be too extreme. I believe there's going to be a cure. Some medicines will be produced starting from Nigeria, especially if we challenge ourselves as we're asking us to do, and then maybe from other areas we shall get our own cure. The world will get its own synthetic cure. They already have remdesivir and other things they are looking at, which might help to reduce the intensity of the illness, or reduce the number of days people stay in hospital. So I believe that a cure will come. I am aware, and I have a confidence that we already have one in Nigeria. It's for us to be humble as a people and call all those who claim they have found a cure and say, come together, let us see what you've done, put them to trial, and then we may have something to give to the world, not just for our own sake. But Nigerians are already working hard at their different points, and the research institutes, with or without salary, many of them are working. The universities are working. And you ask me, what are they doing with all the research? Again, going back to the coordination, going back to mandate. The universities are giving money and they spend it. People are giving money, they spend it, no accountability. Nobody holds you and say, we gave you 100 million last year, what did you do with it? So if you don't show us what you did with it, we're not going to give you this year. We're budget, X plus, whatever name you call the budget. It's the same, add money, and then we spend and we'll come back. In fact, towards the end of the year, we're happy to recollect all the money that was not spent, as if we didn't want the money spent in the first place. I don't understand that psychology of collecting money you are budgeted back. But I'm not in government. Government knows why it does what it does. But the point I'm making is that we have to do more, invest more, and hold ourselves accountable and responsible. Every dime government spends, we must see a return on it, not in terms of profit, but also in terms of productivity and outcomes. That way we shall begin to make more progress than we're doing now.
Mazi Sam Ohuabunwa for your insights. Thank you very much indeed.